Eurozone rescue package announced this morning, and we partner now with the FT to bring you Lex on Bloomberg. You get a sneak peek at the Financial Times' flagship column a day early. Vincent Boland joining us now from London. Vincent, thanks so much for joining us. So the big question, I guess, will it work? I mean, it looks as if the markets in the meantime are stabilized, but long term.
Yes, I think in the short term it certainly will work, and I think is already working. And I think the chief reason for that is the sheer size of this package. 750 billion euros is really the use of overwhelming force. I think that it was necessary to have it at that size because the one thing that it should achieve in the longer term for the Eurozone and for policymakers in the Eurozone is that it gets them ahead of the problem. And that has been the issue all along, is that they've been behind the curve on it. And this now seems to have put them on the front foot for a change. And that's one reason why it is in the short term working, but why there are so many question marks over whether it's going to work in the longer term.
So I guess we should talk about some of these question marks. And I mean, even some critics looking backwards saying if the EU hadn't dragged its feet for so long, the plan could have even been cheaper. But looking ahead, I mean, what does Europe have to do as far as structural reform goes, Vincent, to make sure longer term the plan works?
Well, I think what Europe has to do, in a word, is austerity. There's a huge divergence within the Eurozone between the core economies of Germany and France and the Netherlands on the one hand, and the southern economies on the other, Greece, Italy, Spain, Portugal and Ireland, who are on the periphery. They are the economies that are the weakest and also the most debt-laden. And the one thing that they absolutely have to do, I think, over the next 3 or 4 years, or however long this package is going to be in place, is that they have got to reduce the debt to GDP ratio that each of them has, and their budget deficits. These are the two critical areas. It's going to take a lot of pain, I think, to achieve that. You can see already that Ireland has introduced very severe measures last year that required public servants to take a huge big pay cut, 17% across the board in most cases. That is the kind of sacrifice, I think, that these countries are going to have to make.
Yeah, Ireland has been praised, at least in the press, for doing so, taking that strong medicine. But you just alluded to this split in the Eurozone. Some countries seem able to control their debt, for lack of a better term. Other countries not. How is that going to affect discussions going forward?
Well, this is the critical area, and you know, this has been the sort of contradiction within the Eurozone ever since it was created, was that you have low debt countries on the one hand and high debt countries on the other, and are they compatible within the Eurozone? There certainly are, you know, they're compatible within the dollar zone. You have high deficit and high debt states, and you have low deficit and low debt states, but it's a different question in the Eurozone because there's no central authority to manage these things. And that's why it has taken so long, I think, to come up with this Eurozone solution that we have now that was agreed very late last night. So it's going to be a contradiction that continues in the Eurozone, but it must be addressed ultimately if the project itself is going to keep on track and not require another 750 billion euro bailout down the road.
That would seem like the ideal way to go. Vincent, thank you very much. Vincent Boland joining us there from the FT.